Well, hello. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live on a Monday night, and I'm your host, Jake Johnson. And this is Bible study on a Monday night. How's everybody doing out there? How's your week going so far? It's Monday, but it'll be Tuesday tomorrow. We are in the great book of 2nd Chronicles, chapter 32, verse 22. A little symmetry there. I like it. So if you got your Bibles handy, crack them open, blow the dust off of them, take your shoes off, wiggle your toes, get comfortable, get your favorite drink, and get ready, because we got us a great story in store. Lisa Reen, you get the gold star tonight. 7:29, my time. 8:29, yours, right? Okay, yeah, that's right. Something like that. I don't know what your time is, but my time is 8:30. Amanda says, hi, chat. Good evening. Good to see you all. Hiya, Jake. How are you tonight, love? Fantastic. Can't be better. Chomping at the bit, ready to rock and roll. Well rested, and my mustache is twirled, and everything's functioning on all cylinders. Amanda says, hi, Lisa Reen. Here's your star. All right. It's going to be a lovely night tonight. I can feel it in my bones. I'm a mess. Am I? Sorry. Not mess looking. Well, I have worked my tail off today. Non-stop. Daylight to dark. Not really, but in there somewhere. A lot of it. Big order of double-sided shirts. Inside and out. Front and back. Both sides. It is good for you. Until it causes you to have a massive coronary. But until then, it's good for you. But I agree. Lisa Reen, how are you, love? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're not working too hard tonight. Hope you're having a good time wherever you are. Maybe making something nice to eat. That'd be nice. I don't know what's going on with my mustache tonight. It's wanting to bunch up on me. Lay down. Be sure and hit that like button, everybody. It's right in front of you. Just press it one time. Smash it. You didn't get a nap? I didn't get a nap either. That's all right, though. I'm tough. I can handle it. Double kick in my coffee. Got everything situated and ready to go pick up my pickup truck. That's going to be nice. I'm waiting on the title now. It's coming. I was late to work this morning, doing days for Christmas vacay. Had to go fix the hack that happened to my debit card. Uh-oh. But it's fixed now. I got off at 5:30. I hope nobody got a lot of money from you. That's not good. Don't like it when people mess with your credit cards, debit cards. I'm glad you got that handled. That's a bad feeling. Go look at your balance and it's half of what you think it should be. That's not a good feeling. I got zero. Excellent. That's fantastic. I'm sorry about that. That's terrible. Anyway, I'm glad that you recovered and put a kibosh on that whole deal. You're doing days for Christmas vacation. So if you're doing days for Christmas vacation, how are you late to work? Or does your Christmas vacation start today? Is that what you're saying? I don't quite grasp that one. I don't get a Christmas vacation. I don't think. Not that I'm aware of. Probably Christmas. Probably won't work Christmas. Not my vacation, just everyone else. Oh, I see. You're getting ready for everybody else to take vacation. I see what you're saying now. All right. Cleared it up. I got it. My brain ain't functioning right, and I'm a little foggy. That's okay. I get even day off. That's probably what I'm going to do. Get that week. We're probably going to take off. I don't know for sure yet because I don't know what's in store, but I'm guessing he's going to take off Friday and come back Tuesday. I guess. I don't really know. That's usually how it goes. Either way, I'm there for the long haul. I got to make that money as much as I can. My little pittance. It's all good. Yeah, it is. It's all good. Little hard work ain't never hurt nobody, right? What's that Jesus said? If you agreed to work the day for a penny, or if you agreed to work half the day for a penny, do the work you agreed to do and be happy to do it. Don't be mad at the guy that did it for half a day because he's a better negotiator than you. Because you agreed to the whole day. Right? That's what we did. Zero hard work will hurt you. Yes, I think it might. Smoking Auditor, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Good evening, everyone, says the Smoking Auditor. Amanda says, hi, Smoking Auditor. Yeah, if you do nothing, I think you get kind of stoved up and things quit working and you start blowing up. That's not good. You can't do nothing. Trust me, I know. You have to do something. I'm doing as something as I can do right now. Just about round the clock. Keep your mind off of it. Smoking Auditor, you ready for Christmas? How are things going with you, sir? Well, I hope. I'm good. I've been without a phone for a while. For a week. For a while, a week. Well, that's not good. What happened to your phone? Hi, Amanda, says Smoking. What'd you do to your phone? You drop it in the lake or something? Get it taken from you by a cop? Did your girlfriend read your texts? Were you grounded? I've been grounded. It's not fun. Sometimes you got to let them feel like they're in charge. If not, you won't be happy. I have a prepaid plan, and they keep changing the date that I have to pay it by a day or two. So I reset it for the 15th, and they're already trying to change it to the 13th of next month. Wow, that's horrible. I just don't pay my bill in time. I forget that it's due because I'm irresponsible, but we all have our shortcomings, but that's their fault. They shouldn't be doing that. What, if you don't mind me asking, what service do you use? Because I'm using Verizon, and they're pretty spot on. As far as doing things the same time every month, giving you plenty of ample opportunity to not be irresponsible. And yet I still screw it up sometimes. I've had the phone go off while I was talking to somebody. Just cut right off. Well, I guess I didn't pay the bill. Use AT&T. There's your problem right there. That explains a lot. I don't think AT&T's ever been a good company. Reliable. Quality. Since it was Ma Bell anyway. That's a little before your time, though. Probably. Lisa Reen knows what I'm talking about. Did I just date myself? I think I did. As if the white hair didn't do it. Not before mine. Yep, says Lisa Reen. You know what Ma Bell is. You know what? How may I direct your call? You know what that's all about too, don't you? Smoking Auditor says, I mean, I like the service. I get coverage a lot of places where Verizon doesn't. But it's the fact they keep trying to up the payment date by a day or two every month. They only want to do 30 days prepay. Yeah, I'm fortunate in that regard. I've got the unlimited plan and I just pay $65 a month. As long as I pay it on the day it's due, never any issues. But yeah, that jerking it around, trying to get a day on you, that's what it sounds like they're doing. They're trying to get away with a day. Just push it back a day. Well, that's not 30 days. That's 29 days, and that means you're paying for an extra day. I think they might be trying to scam you there. Amanda says, that's why I like Metro. And Lisa Reen says, no, just rotary. Attached to the wall. Yes. It's funny to me that the number for emergency, which is 911 in most places, I don't know if it's that way where you're at, but it is in most places. You dial 911, you get the emergency services. That's at the end of the rotor. So if you're in trouble, you got to go and then wait. By that time, you're dead. So I don't think that's I think that's probably why they invented the push button phone. Because too many people were dying waiting for the rotor to come back around. Amanda says, LOL, Lisa Reen, with a 25-foot receiver cord to reach all over the house and get wrapped up in it. The one with the curly cord, remember that one? You couldn't get it untangled. You couldn't even answer the phone because it was all tangled up. You'd spend 20 minutes trying to untangle it just so you could hang the phone up. Smoking Auditor says it's $65 per month for me too, but if I do auto, where it takes it from my card automatically, they make it $55. Yeah, I think mine does that too. Well, I don't know if it's $55. I think it might be $5 less, however it works. But Lisa Reen says, drag a chair up to it and dial emergency because my brothers were going to kill each other. Smoking Auditor says, yep. They're trying to do an extra payment every like a year or two instead of 12 payments. They're trying to get 13th payment in there. Yeah, they're trying to pull a leap year on you every year. Mess with you a little. That's what it sounds like. I'd watch those people. They're sneaky. They'll get you. Had to tell them they didn't say nothing about that in the fine print. How many of you remember party lines? You remember that? Where, like, if you lived in an apartment building, you could pick up the phone and press down the little hanger-upper thingy 2 times, and it would ring downstairs, and then that person would pick up the phone, and now you've got two-way calling, and you could talk all over the building like that. Or somebody could call you, and 3 or 4 people could answer the phone. Or what about three-way calling? That was a thing for a while. So you could be talking to somebody on the other end and say, hang on a minute, I'm going to bring so-and-so in. And then you just tap the little hanger-upper thingy and then dial their number and then call it and tap it again. And then you got 3 people on the line. Can't do that with a cell phone. Or at least I hadn't figured out how to yet. Of course, you can, video chat. So you're not really missing anything. Or you could pick up the phone and listen to everyone's conversation, says Smoking Auditor. You would. Lisa Reen says 410-511 would ring your own phone. Yep. Amanda says, I remember when you had a main line and a kids line at the same time. Yep. I remember when you could get 2 different phone lines into your house. You can get special devices to listen to everyone's phone calls on cell phones. Yes, but those are illegal. You're not supposed to do that. You can also build devices that can pick up cellular signals if you know what you're doing. If you're electronically savvy, if you know what I mean. And are in proximity to a Pringles can and some coat hanger. Anyway, I digress. Yes, those were the old days, folks, back when you had a pager and you weren't a doctor. Back then, back when there was a payphone on every corner, the kind with a door that you could shut the world out and be in the little box by yourself, and you wouldn't have to even travel. You could just make a phone call. A good CB will pick up cell phone calls, says Amanda. Probably. Lisa Reen says, and a criminal. Yes, and a criminal. The devices to listen to cell phone conversations are not illegal in all states. Well, I didn't know that. They're illegal here, though. Something about the Patriot Act, I don't know. I know very little about those kind of things. I'm not at all licensed to be a private investigator and know how to tap phones. That's not me. Anyway, y'all didn't come to hear me talk about my lesser skills, so might as well get after it, right? It is 8:48 anyway, so get your Bibles out and crack them open to 2 Chronicles 32:22, and let's see what the good Lord has in store for us tonight. Are you ready? Get set, read. Thus the Lord saved Hezekiah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem from the hand of Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, and from the hand of all others, and guided them on every side. That's what happens when you follow the word of God. He guides you. He doesn't tell you what to do. You can do whatever you want to do, but he'll lead you in the right direction if you pay attention. And many brought gifts unto the Lord to Jerusalem and presents to Hezekiah, king of Judah, so that he was magnified in the sight of all nations from thenceforth. Meaning he was almost, not quite, but almost as well known as Solomon was in his day. Nobody's ever been as famous as Solomon was, but Hezekiah was pretty close. He did a lot of building. In those days, Hezekiah was sick to death and prayed unto the Lord, and he spake unto him, and he gave him a sign. This he should be capitalized because it's talking about God gave him a sign, and that sign is he added 15 years to his life. You remember that story from the other book? Same guy. Just this is the overall of the story. We delved into it in the other book. This is the the headlines. But Hezekiah rendered not again according to the benefit done unto him, for his heart was lifted up. This is a better translation, would be puffed up. He became arrogant. He believed he was invincible. He believed he had too much power, or whatever it is. He got prideful, and that is a thing God don't like. But he's still a man of God, and he does humble himself, and he does turn his ways back to God. And because he humbles himself, God doesn't destroy Judah while Hezekiah is still alive. He waits till he does finally die before he brings the wrath upon Jerusalem as they deserve it. And it's not just him, it's his kingdom. Their whole kingdom is getting a little bit haughty, a little bit arrogant, because they've been doing good for quite a while. And you know, good times breed weak men. Weak men breed bad times. Bad times breed strong men. Strong men bring good times, and good times breed weak men. See the cycle? That's how it works. And I seem to see that pattern a lot in the reading of the Bible. Hopefully, we can change that. I don't know that we can. His heart was puffed up, lifted up. Therefore, there was a wrath upon him and upon Judah and Jerusalem. Why? Because they were involved. It was his whole kingdom. It wasn't just him. Everybody was getting a little big-headed. Notwithstanding, Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. So eventually they saw the error of their ways, and they humbled themselves before God, so that the wrath of the Lord came not upon them in the days of Hezekiah. After Hezekiah, though, they all got chunked into slavery for a while, but until then, they were allowed to keep going status quo. And Hezekiah had exceeding much riches and honor, and he made himself treasuries for silver and for gold and for precious stones and for spices and for shields and for all manner of pleasant jewels, storehouses also for the increase of corn and for wine and oil, and stalls for all manner of beasts and coats for flocks. So he is set up. He's operating like a smooth criminal, pretty much. Bam, bam, da-da-dun-dun, da-da-dun-dun, da-da-da-da-da. Ow. Anyway, sorry. Moreover, he provided him cities and possessions of flocks and herds in abundance, for God had given him substance very much. This same Hezekiah also stopped the upper watercourse in Gihon and brought it straight down to the west side of the city of David. And Hezekiah prospered in all his works. Pretty much everything he touched turned to gold. And this waterway is still like that to this day, only it's underground, but it's still there, and it still flows water a little bit. It's still, you can walk through it, but there's water in there still. That's Hezekiah's tunnel. Howbeit, in the business of the ambassadors of the princes of Babylon, who sent unto him to inquire of the wonder that was done in the land, God left him to try him, that he might know all that was in his heart. What does this mean? Babylon has never been a good place. It's always historically been the place of evil, or the place that things go awry. The things that happen there are not godly. Well, these ambassadors of the princes of Babylon came to Hezekiah to inquire of him about the wonders that God had wrought in the land. All this prosperity, all this success, all this undefeatedness. Well, Hezekiah told him everything, showed him everything, didn't hold nothing back. He's like, look, this is all my gold and all my silver, and look at what I got. So God left him, much like Job. He lifted the hedge of protection from around him to try him. What is this trying thing? Have I ever discussed with you my doctrine of iron? I'll keep it brief, but I can do a whole sermon on just how you get iron. And basically the bottom line is you start with earth. You start with rock, and you pulverize the rock until you get down into the gooey bits where the coal and the iron ore and the, different minerals are. And you break it up, you use dynamite or whatever, explode it, blow it up, pulverize it. And then you get it in little chunks like gravel in buckets, and you take it all out, load it on the trucks. And then they haul those trucks to a refinery, and they load all those rocks onto a conveyor belt, and they go through a process of being pulverized into powder and then being heated up and burned until all the impurities burn away. And the only thing left is the iron ore, which collects in a thing called a crucible. And the crucible is a big bowl that's made of, I don't know, some kind of ceramic or something that can withstand a lot of heat, until it collects up to the top and it liquefies. And you've got pure iron ore in this crucible. And then they pour that out into big sheets that's going down this conveyor belt. And it goes through processes of cooling until it becomes a slab of iron. But then they take that slab of iron and then they break it into pieces, roughly the size of whatever it is they're trying to make. And they run that through a heater and they heat it back up to red hot. And then it goes through hammers that beat it down flat to a sheet of iron. And then it starts getting folded and beaten back down, and folded and beaten back down, and folded and beaten back down. And then they add a little carbon, and they add a little this and a little that to give it strength and to give it characteristics of different types of metals and whatever. As it's being folded and pulverized and beaten and heated up, and you burn all the oxygen and all the impurities out of it. Sparks are flying everywhere all the time because that's the junk coming out of the iron ore. And you finally get to the end where you have a pristine billet of iron, pure, solid, clean iron. But then they take that and then they cut a chunk out of it, and then they put that into a fire and heat it up to red hot, and then beat it some more and fold it some more and add some more stuff to it until they get the rough shape of a sword. And then they keep beating it and pulverizing it, folding it and twisting it and heating it up and cooling it off real quickly. And I mean, it's just going through an intense amount of suffering, an intense amount of completely breaking it down into what it once was into what it is now. By this time, it's begun to take shape and it's begun to shine a little bit. So then they grab another stone, probably something harder than steel, and they begin to polish it. And they rub it constantly until it grinds down to a fine point. And they keep grinding, and they do ever lighter types of stone or hummus or whatever it is they're using until it has a sheen on it, and it's shining like a diamond, and it's sharp as a razor blade. And then they take it out and then they polish it off, finish it off, and then they put a handle on it and a hilt and all that stuff, and then present it to you as this work of art, this finely crafted, super razor sharp weapon of destruction, as beautiful as it can be. It started out as dirt, though, and all of that turned it into this fine precision instrument, right? That's what God does to man. You start out as this thing, and sometimes he's got to try you. All of that stuff we just talked about is how the foundry tries the stone and turns it into the steel, iron, whatever. Same thing with mankind. God's going to pulverize you. He's got to beat you down a little. He's got to beat out the impurities and fold you until you become molded into the thing he wants you to be. And that sometimes can be painful and scary. And at that moment, you may feel like the whole world is on your shoulders or God's turned his back on you. But that's when he's got you. That's when he's doing something with you. When you're suffering, when you feel the weight of the world, that's when God's using you. How do I know this? Because you don't have to care about any of that. You don't have to feel that suffering. All you got to do is turn and go that way. You need to feed your kids, and you feel that weight. Has anybody here got kids? You ever felt that weight, knowing they're going to need food tomorrow, and it's your job to find it, and you don't know where to look, but you need to? So you have that thing in you that makes you get up and go do the thing so that you have that food for the baby. You don't have to do that. You can just go that way. Just put it away. Guilt is like a bag of bricks. All you got to do is set it down. That's the truth. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to worry about what people think about you. You don't have to want to show up on time to work. You don't have to try to improve yourself. You don't have to care. You can just go that way and do something else and never think about that again. But you don't. And you don't because God's working through you. He's in your consciousness. He is the thing that keeps you focused, fixed on the task at hand, because it is your responsibility and he's placed it upon you and you've accepted. Whether this is a nonverbal explanation, a nonverbal agreement between you and God, nobody tells you it's your responsibility. You just take it on. That's when you know God's working with you, because as long as you feel that weight, that's your conscious working with God. That's you wrestling with this world. You can just give up and go that way, but you won't find anything over there. This is the road to righteousness is narrow and difficult. The road to hell is wide and paved and has nightclubs down on every corner. Trust me, it feels a lot better to go that way. But what's at the end is your eternal damnation. This way sucks, and it always will. It never gets easier. It never gets better until you get to the end. And that's where God is, down that narrow, painful path. You think being a Christian is easy? You think doing the right thing is easy? You think standing up for morals or being righteous is easy? I want to be just like Jesus Christ. Really? Well, they nailed him to a tree and he was alive while they did it. You really want to be like Jesus? Because that's the price for being like Jesus. It costs. It's not free. But that's why you know God's with you. Just like the story of Job, which we're going to get into soon. After Ezra, I forget exactly how many books ahead of us it is, but it's up there, right around the corner. That guy had it bad. I mean, his skin turned black and started breaking to the bone. Like you could see bone through his flesh. That's how rotten his flesh was. It was black, and he wasn't a black guy. He couldn't move. He was in agony for days on end. He lost his whole family right before his eyes, lost all his friends, lost his yapping ass wife, because God was trying him. Because Satan made a deal with God that said, I could break him. God said, no, you can't. That's my guy. He says, well, of course not. You got a hedge of protection around him. Of course I can't break him. Lift that hedge of protection. Let me have my way with him. And I'll show you, not only will I break him, but he'll cuss you before the day is out. God says, all right, I'll tell you what. Hands off. Here's the only rule. You can't kill him. You can do anything else you want to, but you can't kill him. Devil says, I got you. We got a bet. All right, let me get to work. And he worked on Job for months and could not break him. The devil finally gave up and said, I can't break him. That is your guy. Now, God had to dress him down a couple times because he got awful close, but he didn't break. He didn't cuss God. He didn't blame God. He just dealt with it. That's what you got to do. You won't have it that bad because you're probably not the brunt of some cosmic bet between God and the devil. But you could be. Probably not, though. Where was I? God was trying him that he might know all that was in his heart. He wanted to know just how much Hezekiah believed in him. So he put him to the test, and he found out. Now, The rest of the acts of Hezekiah and his goodness, behold, they are written in the vision of Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, and in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. And Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the chiefest of the sepulchres of the sons of David, the highest place in this hill full of sepulchres, which is in Jerusalem now. You can go visit it, only it's not marked, but everybody kind of knows that's where David was buried at one time. So you can go there and ask around the locals, and they'll tell you, well, that's where they buried the kings, right there. But it's not marked. Why? Probably so they don't have grave robbers. But anyway. And all Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem did him honor at his death, and Manasseh, his son, reigned in his stead. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 55 years in Jerusalem. But, never like it when a but comes, he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, like unto the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel. That's the people that they replaced when they came into Canaan, the 9 tribes that God said to kill every living thing, man, woman, child, and animal. This is the kind of people he was emulating. The people that God kicked out of Canaan for the Israelites to move in. Manasseh acted like them, and so did Ahaz and a couple of other kings. Not good people. Imagine such a hateful child coming out of such a loving, God-fearing man, Hezekiah. It seems to be the way it works. No counting for the grape. Can't trust the seed. For he built again the high places which Hezekiah his father had broken down, and he reared up altars for Baalim, worshippers of Baal, and made groves, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and served them. Who are the hosts of heaven? Those are the fallen angels. That's different than Baal. Baal is a false deity. The host of heaven are the fallen angels, who are very much real, but not godly. That means he was a devil worshiper, basically, because Lucifer is one of those fallen angels. Also, he built altars in the house of the Lord, wherefore the Lord had said, Jerusalem shall my name be forever. In Jerusalem. You're not supposed to do that. That's God's house. You're not supposed to put false deities' altars in God's house. And this guy did that again. It's like they don't learn. And God called them a stiff-necked people, and they are. It's like they can't learn. They can't see patterns. Pattern recognition is broken. They cannot tell, well, that guy was a bad guy, and his whole thing fell apart. This guy was a good guy, and he prospered until he died. I'm going to be a bad guy. Duh. Anyway. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. So outside, he built altars to the fallen angels. Not a good plan, Manasseh. And he caused his children, his offspring, to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. Also, he observed times and used enchantments and used witchcraft and dealt with familiar spirit and with wizards. He wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. What was this guy doing? He was talking to the dead. He was practicing necromancy. He was doing whatever you want to call witchcraft. That's different now than it was then. But if you read the book of Enoch, you find out that some of the angels that fell taught man spells and incantations, things that angels do. They taught man how to do it. Man ain't supposed to know how to do those things. That's not part of man's privy. That's a different realm. That's a different way of doing things. We're not supposed to do that. And that's what the ancient witchcraft was basically doing the work of angels by men for selfish gains. Anyway, he was doing that sort of thing. He was also observing the times. He was involved in astrology, not astronomy, astrology, different thing. And what is a familiar spirit? A familiar spirit is what we would translate that word to demon, because that's where we get our word demon, which isn't actually in the scriptures. The word familiar spirit is, and we have translated it to demon, which means knowledge. It's kind of a reach around to get to that, but I've proven this before. It does mean knowledge of the evil things, the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's where it comes from, and that is Satan's domain, and he was involved in that. So he actually was a Satan worshiper, and he provoked the Lord to anger. And he set a carved image, the idol, which he had made in the house of God, of which God had said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen before all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. Not an idol. You don't put idols here. You worship God. That's what he said. He told everybody that when he chose Israel to be his people, he said, I will put my name here forever. You don't do the commandment number 1. I am the Lord your God. You will have no other gods before me. No idols, no graven images, none of that. We don't do that here. He's doing it there. Almost like he's spitting in God's face. Neither will I any more remove the foot of Israel from out of the land which I have appointed for your fathers, so that they will take heed to do all that I have commanded them according to the whole law and the statutes and the ordinances by the hand of Moses. That's what he's telling these people. I chose you. I put my name here forever, and I will never make you leave, so that you will be incentivized to follow my rules. I will keep my promise to your fathers so that you will follow my rules. That's my guarantee to you, if you will guarantee to me that you will follow my rules that I gave Moses to tell you. They're not going to do that. So they deserve what's coming to them as far as I can see. So Manasseh made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to err and to do worse than the heathen whom the Lord had destroyed before the children of Israel. He did worse than they did, and they got destroyed for it. And the Lord spake to Manasseh and to his people, but they would not hearken. He was talking to them, and they wouldn't listen to him. You ever feel like that? You ever talk to your youngins, and they just won't hear you? You tell them what's right. You tell them what they need to do, and they just can't hear. That's what God's feeling right now. Wherefore the Lord brought upon them the captains of the host of the kings of Assyria, which took Manasseh among the thorns, and bound him with fetters, and carried him to Babylon. And when he was in affliction, he besought the Lord his God, and humbled himself greatly before the Lord, the God of his fathers. Oh, now that you're in prison, fettered and chained, now that you're suffering, now you're going to call on God. But you did worse than the people he kicked out of here before. That's what got you here. That's why you're in trouble. But now you're going to call on God. Now you're going to become a jailhouse Christian. See what God does about that. He called on the God of his fathers and prayed unto him. And he was entreated of him, and heard his supplication, and brought him again to Jerusalem into his kingdom. And then Manasseh knew that the Lord, he was God. Even after all that, even after all the evil things he did, knowingly being an atheist, knowingly putting up false idols in God's house. You got to know, if you're in Jerusalem, you've got to know you don't do that. That's a big no-no. Just by the gasps and the agaped faces alone, you should know not to do that. But he did. And then when he was in trouble, he prayed to God, and God heard him. Does that tell you anything? It don't matter what you do. It don't matter how bad you are. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter how you suffered. It doesn't matter how you have hated God for what he's done to you. If you'll humble yourself right now and ask him to help, ask for his forgiveness, he'll give it to you. Just like that. No problem. And then bring you back into your land proper. That's the God you worship. That's the God worthy of praise, because no other God would ever do that. I wouldn't do that, and I'm not even a God. I mean, I'm devilishly handsome, but no God. And that's all it took. Manasseh knew he was God because he saw his power. It's beautiful. Now, after this, he built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gihon in the valley, even to the entering in at the fish gate, and compassed about Ophel, and raised it up very great height, and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah, and took away the strange gods and the idol out of the house of the Lord, and all the altars that he had built in the mount of the house of the Lord and in Jerusalem, and cast them out of the city. Well, way to turn her around, buddy. Go ahead and just get rid of all that evil that you brought upon all these people. And he repaired the altar of the Lord, and sacrificed thereon peace offerings and thank offerings, and commanded Judah to serve the Lord God of Israel. Now, what does this sound like to you? This sounds like the behavior of a man who did not know God and went a-whoring after the way of the world, and then in his time of need learned who God was and saw it for real. This is the behavior of one of those people. This is called a complete 180 in your behavior. Why? Well, because when you realize God is real, there's no joke. There is a Father out there, and he is paying attention. That's not a joke. He's real as I am. When you realize that, you begin to act differently, because you begin to weigh the things you know to be wrong against your behavior. And then you begin to alter that behavior and try to do something more akin to what he wants to see, because now you know he's watching. That's the difference. You can't get that from a conscience. You can't get that from fear of authority. You can only get that by knowing that God Almighty is over your shoulder, breathing down your neck, and you better do it right this time, buddy. That's what he's doing. But nevertheless, the people did sacrifice still in the high places, yet unto the Lord their God only. But they did it in the high places. They did worship God, but they just can't give up these high places. Now, what is it about high places? I don't get it. I don't understand. What's wrong with the church? What's wrong with the temple? You got to go up to the mountain and make a big show of it? It makes no sense to me, but they believed in it. Now, the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and his prayer unto God, and the words of the seers that spake to him in the name of the Lord God of Israel, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel. His prayer also, and how God was entreated of him, and all his sins, and his trespass, and the places wherein he built high places, and set up groves and graven images before he was humbled. Behold, they are written among the sayings of the seers, which we do not have a copy of. So Manasseh slept with his fathers, and they buried him in his own house. And Ammon his son reigned in his stead. Ammon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 2 years in Jerusalem. And he also did that which was evil in the sight of God, in the sight of the Lord, as did Manasseh his father. For Ammon sacrificed unto all the carved images which Manasseh his father had made, and served them, and humbled not himself before the Lord, as Manasseh his father had humbled himself. But Ammon trespassed more and more. He's going to outdo dear old dad. He's going to show him what an atheist looks like. He's going to get pink hair and piercings through his face. I'll show you, dear old dad. Humble yourself, boy. It's the only hope you have. That's it. There is no other choice. I hope somebody's listening to that. And his servants conspired against him and slew him in his own house after 2 years of being a terrible king. His own servants killed him in his own house. But the people of the land slew all them that had conspired against King Ammon, and the people of the land made Josiah, his son, king in his stead. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem for 31 years. Guess what Josiah did? That which was right in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the ways of David his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor to the left. He was a straight shooter all the days of his life. He was a righteous man. From 8 years old, he could see what his father was doing, and he went the other direction. Seems like that's the case, isn't it? It's almost like all children go in the reverse of what their fathers are. Seems that way. I don't know if that's always the case, but it sure does feel that way sometimes. For in the 8th year of his reign, while he's yet young, that would be he's 16 years old. He started when he was 8, and in the 8th year, that makes him 16. While he was yet young, he began to seek after the God of David, his father. And in the 12th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places and the groves and the carved images and the molten images. And they break down the altars of Baalim in his presence, and the images that were on high above them he cut down, and the groves and the carved images and the molten images he brake in pieces and made dust of them, and strode it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed unto them. People that he killed that were sacrificing unto these false deities. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon their altars, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. And so did he in the city of Manasseh, and in Ephraim, and in Simeon, even unto Naphtali, with their mattocks round about. And when he had broken down the altars and the groves, and had beaten the graven images into powder, and cut down all the idols throughout all the land of Israel, he returned to Jerusalem. Now in the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land and the house, he sent Shaphan, the son of Azaliah, and Messiah, the governor of the city, and Joah, the son of Joahaz, the recorder, to repair the house of the Lord his God. It's time. It's time to rebuild the temple. He's already cleansed the land. He's already purged all the bad out. Now it's time to rebuild the temple yet again. Not rebuild it, but, refurbish it. Remodel, as it were. It wasn't torn down, but it was in disarray. And when they came to Hilkiah, the high priest, they delivered the money that was brought into the house of God, which the Levites that kept the door had gathered of the hand of Manasseh and Ephraim, and of all the remnant of Israel, and of all Judah, and of Benjamin, and they returned to Jerusalem. So basically, anybody that came in to worship God, they collected a little bit of money from them, a little tithe, a little bit, just a little bit, not much, but it added up over time. And if everybody gave just a little bit on a regular basis, the church would flourish. And it's not expensive for anybody. The problem is one or two people do all the donating and everybody else skates for free. And that doesn't make anything happen. You want things to happen? Everybody's got to be part of the same sport. Everybody's got to be playing. Simple as that. And that's what they're talking about here. And that's what the Levites did. Everybody that came, they just got a little bit. And over time, the chests would fill and fill and fill and fill. There was more money than enough to repair everything. And there was money left over in abundance. What did he do with it? He didn't keep it. He didn't go buy a Rolex. He didn't go buy a Mercedes-Benz. He used it. In this case, he melted it down and made the vessels for the temple. But you could say he used it to benefit the church because that's what it's for. It's not for him. It's not for God. It's for God's work. And that's what you're supposed to do with it. So there you go. And where am I at? All right. And they put it in the hand of the workmen that had the oversight of the house of the Lord, and they gave it to the workmen that wrought in the house of the Lord, worked in the house of the Lord, to repair and amend the house. Even to the artificers and builders gave they it, to buy hewn stone and timber for couplings, and to floor the houses which the kings of Judah had destroyed. You see? So they had everybody. They were providing jobs. They were buying things. Their economy was flourishing because the money was being spent in the local area to buy local goods and to pay local laborers. And next thing you know, everything is functioning. That's how it works. That's what Daddy Trump's going to do, by the way. Same thing. Instead of printing money like crazy and then sending it all overseas, it's going to go right back into the economy, the money that's already here. And then the value of the dollar will begin to creep back up because the money will stay here and circulate. And then everybody will have stuff to do. It's actually a brilliant plan. It's the economy, stupid. Isn't that what they say? Anyway. And the men did the work faithfully, and the overseers of them were Jahath and Obadiah, the Levites, the sons of Merari, and Zechariah and Meshullam, the sons of the Kohathites, to set it forward. The other of the Levites, all that could skill of instruments of music. So the rest of the Levites learned to play their instruments and got the band back together, as it were. Got to practicing and tuning up and, getting the songs right. Also, they were over the bearers of burden and were overseers of all that wrought the work in any manner of service. And of the Levites, that there were scribes and officers and porters. So everybody had a job to do. And when they brought out the money that was brought into the house of the Lord, Hilkiah the priest found a book of the law of the Lord given by Moses back in the treasury. When they brought the money out of the treasury, he's in there overseeing the money coming out, and he happens to notice this book laying in there. Nobody's ever read this book. It's just laying there. Or they've read it, but it's been years, right? It got there somehow. Somebody put it there, but they've never read it. So he picks it up, and what does he do? He reads it, and lo and behold, light bulbs go off. We've been doing this all wrong. Here's the whole thing right here. This is their version of the Bible. This is the law of Moses in a book form. And Hilkiah answered and said to Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah delivered the book to Shaphan. And Shaphan carried the book to the king, Josiah, and brought the king word back again, saying, all that was committed to thy servants, they do it. Everything you told them to do, they're doing it. There's nobody screwing off. There's nobody, taken from the till. There's nobody embezzling. Everybody's doing the job you set them out to do. And they have gathered together the money that was found in the house of the Lord, and have delivered it into the hand of the overseers and to the hand of the workmen. Then Shaphan the scribe told the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest hath given me a book. What book? This book. And Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass, when the king had heard the words of the law, that he rent his clothes. He was so devastated. He tore his clothes open. This is a sign of mourning in the Israel way of thinking, to rip your clothes. Look at me, I'm mourning. Anyway, why did he do that? Because he realized that even though he loved God, and even though he was trying to be a just and upright man, nobody knew the rules, because it had been so long since there was a good king making sure everybody did what they're supposed to do that they forgot. And he's one of them. Light bulbs go off. And he goes, we need to fix this, and we need to fix it now, because now you know better. See, here's the thing about the age of accountability, which is mentioned in the Bible. You could be 3, or you could be 30, or you could be 90 before you reach the age of accountability. That just means that you become aware of what you're doing and the error of your ways. And once you become aware of it, you no longer have an excuse to hide behind. You see, ignorance is not a sin. If you don't know better, you're not committing a sin. But when you learn, when you come to the age where you know what you're doing is wrong and you still do it, that's a sin, my friend. That you will be punished for. You won't be punished if you're doing it unaware, because you don't know better. Your brain can't grasp the fact that you're doing something wrong. But when it can, you have reached the age of accountability, and that's when you are held accountable for your actions. Are you there? Do you know what you do when you do something wrong? Are you aware of it? Do you hide it? Do you tell yourself, well, we'll get away with it, or we'll ask for forgiveness tomorrow? Better to ask for permission than forgiveness, right? Whatever it is they say. Don't do that, because you know better. You should be fixing that behavior. All right. And the king commanded Hilkiah and Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, and Abdon, the son of Micah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asaiah, a servant of the king, saying, go inquire of the Lord for me. Go ask God for me. Go pray to God and for them that are left in Israel and in Judah concerning the words of the book that is found. For great is the wrath of the Lord that is poured out upon us, because our fathers have not kept the word of the Lord to do after all that is written in this book. Go ask what the significance of this book is and the importance of it. Go inquire how long it's been since anyone has followed this book. Find out what we need to do, because we are going to start doing it right now. And Hilkiah and they that the king had appointed went to Huldah, the prophetess, the wife of Shallum, the son of Tikvath, the son of Hasrah, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she dwelt in Jerusalem and at the college. She was an erudite. She was academic. She was probably some sort of teacher there. She lived at the college. So that's where they went to speak to this prophetess woman. And they spake to her to that effect, asking her the questions that the king Josiah had asked. And she answered them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, tell ye the man that sent you to me. Go tell the king, Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon this place and upon the inhabitants thereof, even all the curses that are written in the book which they have read before the king of Judah, because they have forsaken me and have burned incense unto other gods, that they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath shall be poured out upon this place, and shall not be quenched. I will have my vengeance, saith the Lord. Behold, you have screwed up. That's what he just said. And I aim to collect. And as for the king of Judah, who sent you to inquire of the Lord, so shall ye say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel concerning the words which thou hast heard from that book. Because thine heart was tender, and thou didst humble thyself before God, when thou heardest his words against this place, and against the inhabitants thereof, and humbledst thyself before me, and didst rend thy clothes, and weep before me, I have even heard thee also, saith the Lord. Just because you humbled yourself, I heard you. I'm with you. I got you. Yes, these people have done a lot of bad things, and I am going to make them pay. But I heard you when you rent your clothes and you cried before me because you didn't know any better. I heard you, said God, and I've got your back. I'm with you. Behold, I will gather thee to thy fathers, and thou shalt be gathered to thy grave in peace. Neither shall thine eyes see all the evil that I will bring upon this place and upon the inhabitants of the same. So they brought the king word again. That's a bittersweet promise. Because if you're king, you're invested in the country, you're invested in your people. You want your people to prosper and be healthy. Well, God's saying, I'm going to bring evil upon this place, the likes of which you can't imagine. But because you humbled yourself, I'm not going to let you see it. I'll wait till you die. And when you die, I am going to raise hell in this place. And your people are going to suffer big time. But I'll wait till you die. Can you imagine trying to sleep at night with that knowledge in your head? Trying to understand how you escaped it, but everybody else is going to pay for it? Just because you were upset at the fact that you didn't know better? That's got to be hard. Then the king sent and gathered together all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem, and the king went up into the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the priests and the Levites, and all the people, great and small. And he read in their ears all of the words of the book of the covenant that was found in the house of the Lord. Not only did he think about that, about how he escaped it and how they're all going to suffer. The reason he escaped it is because he heard the words, because his man read it to him and he understood. So he said, all right, I got it. I know how to fix this. And he gathered everybody. I mean, everybody together. And he stood up before them, a man, a king among kings, a righteous, God-fearing man, and took it upon himself to make sure that every single person in that crowd heard every word in that book. They probably stood there for days while he read it. However long it takes to get through it, he read all of it. He made sure all of them heard it. That's what a real leader does. He takes responsibility for what he knows is coming. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He don't run for the hills. He don't insulate himself. And no, he takes it and he handles it. And that's what he did. And the king stood in his place and made a covenant before the Lord to walk after the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all his heart and with all his soul, to perform the words of the covenant which are written in this book, right before God and everybody. He says, God, I know we've screwed up, but I will promise you today, if you will hear me, if you will have my promise, with all my heart and with all my soul, I will follow every word you have ever written in this book. I will do it exactly like I'm supposed to from here on out. I will set the example. I will lead by example before my people if you'll have that promise. You think God appreciated that? I think God appreciated that. And he caused all that were present in Jerusalem and in Benjamin to stand to it. Not only did he do it, he made everybody else do it. That's a leader. And the inhabitants of Jerusalem did according to the covenant of God, the God of their fathers, the real God, not no idol. And Josiah took away all of the abominations out of all the countries that pertained to the children of Israel, and made all that were present in Israel to serve, even to serve the Lord their God. All his days they departed not from following the Lord. As long as Josiah was king and as long as he was alive, everybody in Israel followed God. Everybody. You weren't, it was against the law not to. You had to. That was part of the whole thing. So, did they have separation of church and state? No. Their foundation was built upon the religion they followed, as it was designed here. Albeit some people later on had different interpretations of that. But believe me when I tell you, the whole idea had Christianity in mind when it was designed. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of it. They were thinking about people following in these footsteps when they designed all of those documents, because that's what made the country strong. And that was our strength, not diversity or any other nonsense word. The strength of the knowledge of the law of God. That's what our strength has always been and always will be, should you be strong enough to follow it. That's where we're going to stop for today, ladies and gentlemen. We will pick up next Sunday, 35:1. Man, what an intense, fantastic read that was. I hope each and every one of you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed delivering it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it caused you to be curious. I hope it causes you to reach out with both hands and reach for your Father and build a relationship with him. Find out why you're here. Find out what he wants from you and what all of this is about. Do that, and it'll change your life. I promise you. While you're considering that, would you please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online and when my new videos drop. Smash that like button. There's 8 people in chat. There's only 5 likes. That math don't add up. 3 people need to press that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It really does help this channel with algorithms, and it helps us get recommended to other people. So won't you please hit that like button. Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share with somebody you don't love. Bring them into our family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me. Drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here, and you'd like to help me do that, you'd like to be part of something special, something above your normal station, if you'd like to support my work, if you'd like to just pat me on the back and say, hey, good job, I see what you're doing, or if you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings to some humble ministry, why not this one? You can do that. You can support my work by going to paypal.me/Jake Johnson Band. Paypal.me/Jake Johnson Band. Or if you're a Cash App user, you can go to $Jake Johnson Band. $Jake Johnson Band. Every little bit helps. It's a win-win. It's a blessing to me. But we live in a reciprocal universe. That means it's a blessing to you too. You know why? Because God tends to notice these things. With that, I will do everything in my power to be worthy of that support and answer all of your questions and comments as I do repeatedly, constantly, forever for the last 5 years. Now, let me scroll up and see what I missed in the chat. Everybody have a good time tonight? Did you learn anything? Do you feel blessed? Do you feel enlightened? Do you feel like your brain's turning to mush a little bit? Can you hear it sloshing around between your ears? You tell me what you feel. I will light this cigarette. CWL, what's up, my brother? Good to see ya. Making Damascus steel, the doctrine of steel. It's a beautiful doctrine. I used the word iron, but you know what I meant. It works the same way. It starts out as rock, ends up as shiny stuff. Amanda says, hi, CWL. CWL says, hello. Lisa Reen says, oh, and tattoos everywhere. Yes, along with the piercings in the face and the pink hair. Yes, definitely. I'll show you, Dad. April, you made it. Good to see you, sweetheart. I'm glad you're here. Sorry I'm late, y'all. Much love, Jake, Amanda, Lisa Reen, the smoking auditor, CWL. By the way, Kevin says, hello to all. Hello, Kevin. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Amanda says, hi, April, hon. Good to see you. April says, thanks, Amanda, love. How's everyone doing? Amanda says, I'm good. A bit chilly. April says, yeah, me too, hon. Me three. Amanda said, good read. April says, I'll have to rewatch it. I'm sorry, loves. Well, as long as you rewatch it, because it's a very important message tonight, and I hope that you hear it. Dennis, what's up, my brother? Good to see you. He says, I'll take it. Still, 8 people in chat, only 5 likes. Come on now. It don't cost you nothing to hit that like button. Hit that like button. Thank you. Dennis says, hi, Amanda. Amanda says, hi, Dennis. April says, hello, Dennis. Good to see you, love. Dennis says, hi, April. I've been lurking. Good. April says, God bless you, Jake. And all here. Hit the like button. See? And subscribe and share and support. Do all the things. Press all the buttons. You know what to do. I'm just beating a dead horse at this point, so go do your thing. Questions, criticisms, comments, catharses, cantaloupes, catawampuses. Lisa Reen. $35.1. Yeah, we got it. All right. How's everybody doing? Did you have fun? Did you enjoy the read? I know 2 of you did. How about everybody else? Come on. Don't leave me hanging. April says, God bless you, Jake. I read that one. Subscribe, share, support. Woohoo. Thank you, dear. How are you doing tonight? How's Kev? How are the little ones? But how are you? I'm well. As you can see, I still have a mustache. Well, don't everybody talk at once. Lisa Reen says, I should have been taking notes. I had questions. My daughter and grandson are here, but lovely read. Well, if you can remember them, I'll be glad to answer them for you. But yeah, you should be taking notes. This is a college course on Bible study. You don't get this kind of information in Sunday school, baby. Pay attention. God's working for you. Amanda says, it was interesting. Hit home in some spots. Yes, it always does. Mostly because we're all a little bit hard-headed. All of us. It was good, says Dennis. Thank you, sir. And it would also benefit everybody to know that God isn't the tyrant he's been painted to be over the years. Many atheists out there, because of nonsense, fake Bibles, and bad teaching all over the world. And it's no wonder. How can you trust in a God when you don't ever hear who that God is? Because you hear other things that is not what God is. How many people in this chat has ever heard any of this stuff before? You've probably been going to church your whole life. Anybody ever teach any of this? This is God talking to his people. It's very important that you know how he feels. Lisa Reen says, I know that's right. Sunday school was just memorizing, not explaining. Right. And very limited at what you were. I kissed the podcast away. I'm back, I think. I'm back. Are you? Hugs and kisses back. We love you, Kev. Yeah, I got tired of when I was going to Sunday school, I got tired of hearing about the apple. And I was like, that's not what they're talking about, right? How dare you say something like that in church? I'm like, it's in the Bible. What do you mean, how dare I say something like that in church? Yeah, I blipped out for a split second. Yeah. It's probably the weather, because we just had a bad rainstorm yesterday. It's different today, but probably windy out. God knows what's going on up there. April says, man isn't Chinese proverb. When listening to Jake Johnson smoke big cigar and drink lots of bourbon, good for the soul. That must be Kevin. I recommend you smoke a big cigar and drink some bourbon because it gets heavy. Ancient Chinese proverb. Got it. I have to smoke lots of cigarettes to keep myself centered. I recommend you do the same. More people don't know what to think about that, do they? How can you be a pastor and smoke cigarettes? You think pastors don't do things? And Lisa Reen says, I do. I hear you. Here's the problem. When a pastor does things but don't tell you he does it, that's a problem. If a pastor is open about who he is, you can trust that. You can trust a man far as you can see him. If you can't see what he's doing, you can't trust what he's doing. OMG, I've got my phone back. Ugh, that was Kevin Gurr. I kind of figured. You didn't have me fooled, Kev. I know what my April sounds like. Well, I got to pee and it's 9:53. It's about time for Walter Davis to pop in. Write it down that I said so. Speak of the Walter Davis. What's up, my brother? Good to see you. All right, Walter, right on time, says Amanda. I was just talking about you. How are you tonight, sir? Fine, I hope. Lisa Reen says, oh my goodness, Walter. Or Oh, my goodness. Walter. Could be that. April says, hello, Walter. Good to see you, love. It's a beautiful night. All my friends are here. Can't complain. It's great. I wish each and every one of you the best of everything. I really do. Walter says, hi, Jake, April, Lisa, Reen, Dennis, Amanda, Auditor, and CWL. Yep, it's been a night. I bet it has, Walter. How's the boat? Good out. And Bigfoot. Oh, you said to him. Okay. Hi, Walter, says Dennis. And hi, CWL, says Walter. I got you. I got your back, buddy. I knew who you meant. Can't win them all. I got you. I knew you meant everybody. We had a good read tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed that, and I hope that you got something out of it. I know I did. And it always touches me when God starts talking, because I can almost empathize with his pain. I see what he's going through anyway. I can't really empathize with it because I didn't create any worlds of people, but I can see why it's devastating that his people keep doing the way they do. And it's also good for us to know about it because we can prevent our generation from going down that path. We might not can prevent the next one, but we can prevent this one. We can do what's right in the sight of God and give him a little bit of a rest anyway. Walter says the boat's good, ready to sail. Mom's nuts. Life is good. Ha ha. That is. Life is good. Wife and family are great. That's fantastic, Walter. How are you, sir? All your stuff is good. How are you? How are you holding up? Are you hanging in there like shoe leather? I know I am. Hanging in there, working hard. Trying to get her done. I got to go up and see Walter in the next couple weeks. Lisa Reen says, I have given up on people for a lot less than God has had to put up with. Amen, Lisa. Walter says, I'm a mess. April says, that's great, Walter. The previous stuff, not the latter stuff. Yeah, Lisa Reen, I turned my back on people for a lot less too. God is the most patient entity in existence, I believe. Because if it were me and I had his power, I would have destroyed this place like day 3. And he did destroy it once, but it took a while, and he hadn't done it again, so that's something. I think he's gritting his teeth, though. Might be regretting that decision. Because there's some craziness going on in this world that I don't know if we've seen this level of it before. It's happened before, but never to this degree. Or maybe it has. Who knows? Who knows how many people were here prior to the flood? Probably a lot more than is here now. I would guess they had longer to propagate the species and were probably better at it, had a lot more time on their hands. I'd definitely go into heaven because I make God laugh so often, LOL. Yeah, you want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Lisa Reen says, I worry that he is giving up. I do too. I feel that way sometimes. And I have to fight that urge because I know God has backed away from mankind, but he hasn't given up because the Bible says he hasn't given up. But it does feel that way sometimes. And it is scary, but I don't think he's given up. I think there's enough of us that love him still that it's worth fighting for. I hope. That's my hope anyway. It's a childlike hope, but it is a hope. True words, Jake. Thank you, sir. They're true words. The Bible tells you that he hadn't give up, but he is angry. He is that. He's angry and he's disgusted, and he don't really want a lot of this anymore. So I understand that. But as long as there's enough of us that love him, he will get his redemption in the end. Or we will get our redemption in the end. He will do the redeeming. I heard it only takes a few. But Christ said, wherever two or more are gathered in my name, there I shall also be. That's this right here. There's more than two of us here. So that's a surplus. So that's better than he asked for. As long as I can keep it at least above 5, I'll keep doing it. I have no plans of going anywhere. I'm here for the long haul. I plan on doing this until I can't breathe anymore. Or can't get out of the internet anymore. One or the other, whichever one comes first. Till I'm censored into oblivion. Which I am heavily censored now. You can ask people that are monitoring my channel. It goes from 2 to 50 back to 2. And my subscriber count is dropping, not going up. God bless you, Jake. Thank you. I hope he does. You bless me, so he should. I'm blessed every time I talk to you guys. It means a lot. That's right. Wherever 2 or more are gathered in my name, there I shall also be, Walter. That's correct. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm glad to be part of it. I'm glad that I can do this. I'm glad that God saw fit to push me to do it because I wasn't trying to do it before. It needs to be done. Somebody, somewhere needs to be saying something that's true on this platform and others. And I am trying to do that. And I hope that it's having some kind of an effect. But it may not. Or it may blow up after I die and I might be the spokesman for all Christendom 100 years after my death. Who knows? Nobody knows. It'll be here forever for everybody to go back over and get all the answers they need. It don't take much to go to church. Well, you're at church right now as far as I'm concerned. This is church. We don't have a steeple and we don't have a choir, but this is church. You know who else didn't go to church? Jesus. He did go to the temple, but he didn't go to church. Paul went to churches, but Jesus never did. Amen. Walter, Lisa, Jake, Amanda, Dennis, CWL, Smoking Auditor, Dennis, I love you all. You're in my prayers. April, you are a beautiful, beautiful soul. Thank you for that. We need all the prayers we can get. Keep them coming. I need them. So does everybody else. That's what I'm saying, Jake. I know. I'm with you. I'm just articulating for you. I was reading into the statement. Yeah, you get all the credit for that. Lisa Reen says, I found this church through Jeannie and CFM. He brought the whole stream here one night. That's lovely. And I've seen Jeannie a few times since then. CFM stopped coming. That's ceiling fan man, right? Yeah, he ain't been in a while. I think he's got his own thing going on now. Now, every now and then, Jeannie will pop in. But Lisa Reen, you're true and through. Tried and true. I appreciate every day you show up. I appreciate it. All of you. It means a lot. If I didn't have you, I'd have nobody to talk to. So I'd just be a crazy person yelling at my phone. So you give me purpose. And I thank you for that. We should blast his channel sometime. Yeah, we should. I can't do any of that because I can't advertise. Because if I do, that makes me a televangelist, and I'm trying not to be that. I don't mind, receiving donations or whatever if someone feels led to do so, if that's between them and God. But I don't want to put myself in the position of middleman where I'm asking for that, or I'm pushing for that, because that will take away from the message, which is God's words. I'm just a reporter. I want him to speak, not me. So I can't do that, but you can. If you want to advertise, please be my guest. Help me get some people coming to the show. I would love that. Only on Friday night. I got you. He's only on Friday night. Got you. Walter says, I caught you, Jake, on Caucasian Sasquatch. You made something and turned in. You made say and turned in? I don't know what that means. You saw me on Caucasian's channel and you tuned into my channel. I appreciate you, Walter, too. More than you know. Lisa Reen says, no, I mean us go watch him like he had all his live stream come see you. Oh, yeah, we could do that. No, I'm down for that. Sure. So one Friday night, let's all go over to Ceiling Fan Man and see what he's doing. Sense. Okay. I caught you on Caucasian Sasquatch. You made sense. And I tuned in. Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll try to make sense. Sometimes I get a little out left field, but most of the time I try to keep it centered. Try to speak wisdom. Especially on a Wednesday or a Friday night, I tend to say some crazy things, but, I'm trying to be light on those nights and serious on these nights. And I don't know if everybody likes that, but that's kind of how I feel to do it. So that's what I'm doing. But I will try to do better in some areas and try to fix other areas. And, that's a plan, Lisa, says April. Yeah, we can all make a plan to do that this Friday. How about that? No, that's Christmas. Well, yeah, no, we can do it this Friday. Christmas is Monday, right? So we're all free Friday. Let's go over and hang out with Cena Van Man. I did not realize that he brought his whole stream over here. I didn't know that. But I'm glad he did. All right. It is 10:08 and I got to pee and I got to get up and go to work early in the morning. So I'm going to get out of here. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. I love you true. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for all the wonderful chats. Thank you for the questions and comments. Thank you for just being here. It means a lot. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your, what's the word I'm looking for? Suggestions. Thank you for that. Have a great night. I'll see you guys Wednesday. We'll do something fun. Have a great night. God bless you all. Walter says, you do great, Jake. Help me from breaking heads and violating vows. That's good. If I do that, that's fantastic. If I do that for one person, that's fantastic. I feel like I've done my job. So I'm grateful for that. I'll be listening to what I missed tomorrow. Cool. That's good to get you through a work day anyway, right? April says, good night. Everyone, love you all. God bless. Yes, God bless you all. Have sweet dreams. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. Take care of yourselves and each other. May God's blessings be upon you all, and may his grace guide your footsteps everywhere you go. Have a great night. God bless you. Thanks for watching.